here for your life coaching. Good morning. And we're coming to you on 7 platforms around the world this morning. Okay, 7 social media platforms. And we're talking about awareness this morning. Okay, our company is Here for You Life Coaching. We're at hereforyoulifecoaching.com. And we bring you this complimentary episode. Okay, so we're doing that. We're talking about awareness. Okay, awareness is the foundation of growth. Okay, now let's discuss what awareness is. Okay, so awareness is the one thing that everybody has in common. Okay, it's the one thing that everyone has in. So when they say we are all one, okay, that's what they're talking about. When the holy books say that we are all one, sometimes they say we are all one flesh. Sometimes they say we are all one, whatever like that. But what they're really talking about is awareness. Okay, because what we have in common is awareness, that energy in here. Okay, Jesus Christ told us that the kingdom is within. Okay, the kingdom is not without. There is no kingdom out here except earthly kingdoms, physical kingdoms in the physical world. Okay, but the real kingdom is in here. And we know this because what's in here gets expressed out here. There is no out here with no in here. Okay? So everything out there is either nature or other things from someone else's in here. Okay? So if they can, you can. There's no difference between you and anyone else. Okay? The only thing that you have, let's say, a challenge to accomplish is how you get from point A to point B. So let's say if your dream was to build a bridge, a huge bridge, okay? Well, how do you accomplish that? Maybe you need to go to school for engineering. Maybe you need to pursue certain things, okay? But eventually you can build the bridge, okay? You're not gonna be out there building it by yourself. Okay, so here's what I proposed to someone once. He was a client of mine, and he was a contractor. And I went to his website, and he was this local guy here in Hawaii. And I went to his website, and it looked like he was in New York City. His website looked kind of like that, okay? So I asked him, I said, well, can you build a skyscraper? And he said, oh, no. We just do contracting. We do remodeling. But there was a picture of a skyscraper on his website, okay? And I wasn't calling him out. I was provoking thought. Okay? So I said, can you build a skyscraper? He said, oh, no. We just do renovations. So I said, can you imagine yourself building a skyscraper? He said, no, we don't. He thought I was joking, right? Well, how do you build a skyscraper? You hire engineers. Okay, you pitch the project. You pitch the design. Then it's a matter of calculating the materials. There are companies that do all of these things. So what you really need to do is figure out a way to bring all of these companies together, to employ these companies, to get to, right, network with companies like that. But eventually you can kind of visualize how it's done. As an entrepreneur, you bring people together and make things happen. As an entrepreneur, you hire the right people. Okay, you hire the experts. So the answer to that question, can you build a skyscraper, should have been yes. But because he had a limit to his thinking, it sort of stopped him in his tracks, and he's like, no, we just do renovations. So someone like that will only be limited to renovations. You see? Mindset. Good morning, guys. Good morning, lady. So we're going to talk about awareness, okay? So awareness is the foundation of growth. The more aware you become, the more you see the difference between the spiritual and the physical. Okay? Thank you, lady. Please share the live, you guys. Please share. So when you start to, you know, meditate, when you start to do affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization, you start to see the difference between the spiritual world and the physical world. If you're just praying, if you're just doing affirmations, if you're just doing one of these things, it may be difficult. But when you incorporate all four pillars, there's nothing you can't accomplish. Okay, so if you really want in-depth, information about my teachings, all you have to do is put my name in any browser, in any AI, and just put teaching method after my name, and everything will pop up. Okay, or philosophy, everything will pop up. My teachings are available all over the place. But here's the thing, okay? So before I even had the right to teach this, I had to do it, because you should never listen to anyone who hasn't done anything or hasn't accomplished anything. Okay, but here's the thing I discovered in meditation. And you don't have to do mantras, you don't have to do all that crazy stuff you don't understand. You just have to be still. And you can feel the presence of God. And God will give you intuitive thought. So where does that come from? The superconscious. There is only the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious for people that believe in God. Now, people that don't believe in God, there is only the conscious and subconscious. And then the subconscious kind of takes the responsibility for the superconscious in that way of believing. But I can tell you that God is very real, very, very real. So God is what opens the doors when you take the steps towards something. Okay, first you have the target. The target is selected by the conscious mind. When that target is reiterated, it becomes a belief in the subconscious. When the belief is solid in the subconscious starts giving you information regarding the topic. So let's say it's confidence. Let's say the thought is, I want to be confident, or I desire to be confident. So now the affirmation becomes, okay, here's the affirmation pen. There we go. Okay. The affirmation becomes, I am so happy now that I am confident. Thank you. Now, after you write that a few times, okay, and it may take about 2 weeks, and then you'll feel the shift. What happens is it goes into the subconscious as a program. The subconscious learns in repetition, and then it starts to repeat that repetition that you've initiated. Now it starts to look for confirmation for confidence. And then it will remind you, it'll pull something out of last month. Oh, you remember when you did this? That was confidence. It'll pull something out of last year. Oh, I remember when this happened? Wait, yeah, you were confident. It will start to confirm this. Now it also confirms the opposite. So if you have fearful thoughts, if you have thoughts of lack, if you are, fearing, it will pull up confirmation to that too. Ah, you remember when you chickened out and, this and that and da-da-da. Remember in 4th grade when right? It'll pull all of these things. Your subconscious is the book of life. It's the culmination of all of your senses. So, it depends on what you believe to be true. Let's take a look at the subconscious tree real fast, okay? So the roots of the tree, are your core beliefs, your subconscious beliefs, things that you believe to be true. Okay, now some people don't really understand everything that they believe. They're not aware of everything that they believe. And today we're talking about awareness, okay? So let's set this up properly. If you're not aware of what you believe, there's a few ways to find out, okay? We'll get to that later. But the roots of the tree, your subconscious core beliefs. Now, those beliefs start to form your paradigm, or the trunk of the tree, the body of the tree, okay? Imaginary tree. Now, your paradigm is your worldview, how you see the world, your attitude towards the world, okay? And those constructs, or that construct, okay, human beings have multiple paradigms, okay? But that construct of your initial paradigm is generally from when you're born till 7 years old, okay? And you keep reverting back to that paradigm periodically. You can change about 15 to 20% of it, but you keep reverting back to that paradigm, okay? Which is why you need to do your affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization on a regular basis. It's maintenance, okay? Maintenance for your subconscious. Now, that paradigm, okay, or your paradigm in general, dictates your actions, the fruits of the tree up here, okay? Now, the fruits of the tree are your actions that turn into results, okay? So the question is, are you happy with the results you're getting? Are you aware of the results you're getting? Can you see the patterns? If you can see the patterns, then you know that these are results of your actions. So the universal law of correspondence tells us whatever's going on in here is going on in your immediate physicality, in your physical world. Okay, so what goes on in here goes on out here. So when you see somebody with a messy desk, right, or messy car or whatever, things are chaotic, they're chaotic in here. Somebody has a nice clean car, right? I'm talking about like inside and out, okay, whatever. It's a reflection of who they are in here. Is somebody dressed well? Or do they just, wear anything or whatever? Okay, are they well put together? Then they're well put together in here. If they're organized out here, they're organized in here, and vice versa. Okay? So this is why they say, show me the 5 people closest to you and I'll tell you who you are. Because like attracts like. Okay? And how you are in here determines your friends out here. Because you gravitate, like attracts like. Human beings are like chameleons. Okay? We're conducive to our environment. Okay? So we start to surround ourselves with people that we identify with. We identify with their thinking, we identify with their goals, we identify with their way of life, we identify with, okay, so like that. So awareness is the foundation of it all. Okay, awareness is the ability to observe these things and habits and traits. The ability to take yourself outside the box and look back in the box, whether it's personal habits, emotions, external circumstances. Okay, so awareness is that first step towards transformation. If you desire change, okay, it shines a light on the blind spots in your life. Okay, it's awareness that goes, hey, look, that's missing. Now, it could be love that's missing, it could be a career that's missing, it could be whatever that's missing, something, anything that's missing, material things. It doesn't have to be material things. Manifestation is your life in general. What kind of life are you living and are you happy? Should be the questions. Is your life serving you or is it taking from you? Is it giving to you? Is life giving to you or is life taking from you and draining you? So your thought patterns are very important, okay? Now, thought patterns are not linear. They don't go like this, okay? Thought patterns go like this, okay? I use the windshield wiper like this. Thought patterns go like that. Good thought, bad thought. Good thought, bad thought, okay? On this end is love. On this end is fear, okay? So we get afraid, we go fearful thought. We see something online, fearful thought. We see something in person, fearful thought. Or we see something online, depending on what we're looking at, right? So algorithms are important in this because they will show us what we're interested in. So if you don't like what you're seeing online, then you need to search for things that you do want to see. Okay, so here's an experiment I did years ago. I went on Instagram and I searched under luxury. And I found that, wow, it improved my mood. Right? So I was looking at luxury homes, luxury clothes, luxury shoes, luxury everything, cars, everything. And then slowly these things began showing up in my life. And I'm like, whoa, okay, why? Because visualization is so strong. Okay, but this is awareness doing this. Awareness is the ability to look at the situation and go, okay, I understand why this is happening. A lot of people don't know why things happen to them. Okay, because they're distracted into another reality. When you get distracted into another reality, your eyes distract you into another reality. Sometimes that reality can be very dark. Sometimes it can be light. Okay, there's no judgment with awareness. Your subconscious doesn't judge. It doesn't know whether you're doing something good or bad. It just knows that you're giving it an order and it's carrying it out. That's it. So this is not about morals. This is not about, do the right thing. You do what you want. But every action has a consequence. Now that's kind of a negative connotation, right? When you say it in that way. So let's say it another way. Every action has a result. When you change the actions, the results change. So can random actions change results? Yes, of course. You can commit an intentional action right now and get a favorable result. But if you don't maintain that idea or that action in the subconscious, guess what? The results are not consistent. So how do you consistently get good results? You start at the roots of the tree, in the subconscious. And how do you do that? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. If you do all 4 pillars on one thing, it has to happen. It cannot not happen. It's impossible for it not to happen. Now, I've done some pretty crazy things to test it. Crazy things. The first thing I did was test prayer. Okay, because I thought like prayer is to God, right? So if I pray for something really weird, or if I pray for something that God would probably frown upon, would it happen? So I did my experiments in prayer. Every single thing I prayed for that was, let's say, not in alignment with Christianity, happened. It just happened. Okay. And then I was like, okay, there's something here to prayer. There's something more to prayer. Because I prayed for all kinds of stuff. Okay. I would pray and a girl showed up one time. And I'm like, oh, I guess it worked. But I was not specific enough. Okay. And I just did a prayer in general, and the phone rang 2 weeks later. Boom, there she was at my front door. Okay, it was like ordering a pizza. It just happened. But when things happen to us as a result of prayer, as a result of intention, as a result of applied thought, focus, a lot of times we go, oh, that's just a coincidence. So you need to make up your mind. You either live an intentional life or you live a random life. Okay? But you can't fluctuate between the two. You can't pick and choose. You can't say, okay, God is real, so I'm going to believe in God. Okay? And then go, okay, this just happened. This is a coincidence. This just happened. I believe in God. I put my faith in God. I walk by faith and not by sight. But then this happened. That's a coincidence. Or that had to happen. Or, so you dismiss these things, which are sometimes blessings. Okay, so either you see every good thing as a blessing, or you kind of live this random life. I see a lot of people that claim to be believers in God living random lives. I see a lot of people believe in God and they're broke. I see a lot of people believe in God and they don't give God for, credit for the things that actually do happen that sometimes save them from things. What am I talking about? Sometimes you experience something negative. Sometimes you, let's say it another way, sometimes you don't get what you want. And then you're disappointed. Why did God let me down like that? Okay. But when you really think about it, maybe there's a reason. So awareness is the ability to pull yourself out of the box and look back into the box and go, oh, okay, if I would have got that, that would have gotten me into trouble and I would have ended up like this and whatever. Okay. That kind of thing. So awareness is so animals don't have this. We can observe ourselves. Animals don't have this. They have that one view, okay? That's the only experience they have. We can observe ourselves in motion. We can observe our thoughts in motion. We can observe our feelings in motion, okay? And we can question these things, which presents another issue, okay? And the issue is self-scrutiny, judging yourself, being too hard on yourself. I see little kids, I have little kids that come to me that are very hard on themselves. And this starts very young. This starts, I have a 5-year-old, well, she's 6, she just turned 7. Gosh, I've had her for a long time. She's been with me since 3 years old, this little girl. She's very special to me because she's very, very intelligent, very gifted. So I put a lot into her, okay? And when she was 4 years old, 1 year into the training, okay, one day she had a meltdown, okay, an emotional meltdown, which means she's purging. She's a girl, okay, so she's purging. And I told her, that's okay. Just relax, it's okay. Uncle will wait for you. And I just sat there. And slowly I saw her pull herself together. Now this is a 4-year-old. She pulled herself together, okay? She got her composure back and she continued. At 4 years old, okay? So I already know, so this is hereditary, okay? This is genetics, okay? So I already know what her parents are like, okay? And I saw her pull herself together, okay? Like a big girl, okay? Like an adult. And then she continued, okay? And I've seen her do this several times since then, and she's 7 years old now. I started teaching her at 3. So I teach gifted children. That's one thing that I do. And anyway, so by observing this, I go, oh boy, she's going to be very hard on herself when she grows up. But then I get these people in my practice because I teach what I call high performance individuals. Lawyers, doctors, CEOs, people in charge of other people, managers, directors, organizational leaders. So later on in life, right, you know, sometimes I think, well, it would be better if they met me when they were kids and then, you know, and then they would be more prepared for the career thing. But this is what happens. And this is why awareness is important. It's important to be aware of these things and why they're going on and when they're going on in your life. Because the moment you can remedy this, the sooner you can remedy this, the better for you. But you have to be aware of it. Okay? That kind of work ethic will get this little girl far in life. Because no matter what, right, she'll pick herself up by the bootstraps and continue and push on. Which in itself is a good thing, right? Does it have its drawbacks? Sure, of course. Emotionally, yeah. So I had this attorney that was very, very prestigious, very awesome career, just outstanding career. And she said, boy, I wish I would have met you in my 20s. She was in her late 40s. And I was like, well, there's a time, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Okay, that's an old idiom, old saying. But what happens is, on the drawback side of it, so look at it like a vacuum effect. Okay? For every action, right, Sir Isaac Newton, for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. So the action of pushing forward creates a little vacuum of sorts, emotionally. When this happens, there's a back end. So there's a back end to everything. For every action, there's a result. Okay? For everything that you're given, something is sacrificed. Something is given up. Okay, no such thing as a free lunch. So there's no such thing as getting something for nothing, or let's say it another way, there is no such thing as achieving something without having to sacrifice something. Sometimes people have high-powered careers, but their family life sucks. Okay? They keep losing their families. They keep getting divorces. They keep whatever. Because all the attention is here, and it's not balanced out like this. It's here, and then work, and then home, and then this one is up, and then this one is down, and then they start working on this one goes up, this one goes down, then they pull it back again. And so it's like this. When you develop your awareness, things that are like this begin to go like this, begin to go like that, begin to balance. Okay? Because flow state is achieved. Look it up, it's a thing, flow state. Check it out. So what I teach my high performance clients, because they don't have time to study for years, they don't have time, they need these things right now. They need change right now. And by the third session, they're already calming. By the third session, they're already good. They're beginning to see it. They see the difference. They feel the difference in the very first session. By the third session, they're like, okay, wow, this is cool. And the thing is that once you develop someone's awareness, it's not like they go back. They never go back. Okay? And the reason they never go back is because they experience the change. Okay? Your subconscious memorizes the change. Your subconscious is the book of life. It memorizes the change. Everything you do, everything you say, everything you feel, everything you think goes into your subconscious. So once you experience something, you go, oh, okay, it's like that. If you don't experience it, you don't know. So my job is to make people experience it in the very first session. And this was a progressive thing, because in the beginning it wasn't like this. In the beginning it was like, okay, well, you'll get results during the second month. And then it was like, well, you'll get results in the first month. And now it's like, you'll get results in the first session, because I had to figure it out. Okay, so everything is progressive. Everything evolves. Everything. Okay, so what am I talking about with this awareness thing? How does it work? Awareness looks like this if you're under great stress. This is just a visual, okay? Think of awareness like this. You're under stress. You're under pressure. Okay, this could be economic pressure. This could be financial pressure, right? Could be job pressure. Your boss getting down on you. This could be your friends, your besties, drama. Family drama, okay, dealing with the kids drama, whatever. And awareness goes like this. Now, when you start to relieve the stress, when you start to relieve the pressure, okay, when you open the valve and let the air out, okay, awareness starts to go like that. And the more aware you become. Okay, so in meditation, this is necessary. Why? Because then you start to see and you start to feel. Okay? Your eyes are not the kind of eyes to see. So in the Holy Bible, they say they look, but they cannot see. Because your eyes are looking away from the kingdom. The kingdom is in here. If you really want to see, you close these guys. Okay? Then you go within the kingdom. Now you see. Okay? Seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall open. Okay? Where do you knock? Your neighbor's house? No, you knock in here. Okay? Ask, believe, receive. When you ask, believe in what it is you are asking, and you will receive the answer. Does it work for material things? Yeah, of course. It's a process, but it works through your subconscious. Manifestation is subconscious. Everything is subconscious. There is no difference from you and this thing here. There's no difference. You can program this thing, okay? There's AI on this thing, okay? AI has been programmed by who? Humans, okay? It's a direct reflection of the human being with a greater capacity for information. Okay, well, almost greater. They're almost there, but they'll get there. Okay, quantum computing is pretty close. But everything you've ever experienced, anything you've ever witnessed, anything you've ever come across is in your subconscious, and you can pull out that information very easily. All you need to do is ask. Now, what is another component to that? The superconscious. The superconscious is your link to consciousness. What does that mean? You know those crazy ideas you get? Okay? They're not so crazy. That's intuition. Okay? You know how they say women's intuition? They have the term women's intuition. Okay? So men and women have different types of intuition. It's because women raise children. They're engineered to bear young. And because of that, they have a keen sense of intuition. They have a sharper intuition. They're more finely tuned into their intuition. So if you really want to find out who the creep is in a Starbucks, take a woman with you. She'll tell you. She'll just walk right in the room, just scan the room and go, okay, the creep's over there in the corner. They can tell. Okay, they have that spidey sense. Okay, so this is awareness. Okay, but all humans are born with awareness. But in order to allow your awareness to expand so that you can look and see, okay, so that you can close your eyes and see, awareness needs to expand. So awareness is different from thinking. Okay, don't confuse awareness with thinking. Awareness is observing. Thinking is being caught up in the mind's chatter, right? So you have this conversation, this internal dialogue. That's not what awareness is. That's dialogue. You ever notice that you can observe your thoughts? So if you can observe your thoughts, who's doing the observing? Okay, the thought comes, right? The thought brings what? The emotion. In order to stop the emotion from happening, dismiss the thought. How do you do that? Say stop. Okay? The thought enters your mind like that, right? Stop. The emotion does not have a chance to catch up because first you need to think the thought. Thoughts become things. So awareness is observing the thoughts and emotions. Awareness is, with awareness, you can remove yourself from the box, look back into the box and go, oh, all in real time. You can be in a board meeting. You can be in a board meeting and remove yourself from that active conversation and assess everything in the room in real time through the superconscious or through awareness or through consciousness. The greatest inventors of our time get their information from the superconscious. People like Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford. Okay, these people understood this. They understood the process. They didn't have these. They didn't have these. They had to use the superconscious. Okay, we have these now, right? So we rely on these. So what does this do to us? Well, it takes our perception, our understanding, our awareness, and puts it here. Okay, why? Because your focus is directed here. So now it becomes, well, this will solve my problem. This will tell me the answer. This has a calculator on it. I can do my math over here. I don't need to do it in here. This has all the information to everything in the world, so I can get it here. I don't have to learn it here. I don't have to read and understand and absorb it here. It's here. But then your subconscious draws the information from here. So what is AI really? It's secondhand thinking. Okay, but you can do it all here. You have a supercomputer. It's called the superconscious. And all you need to do is tap into it. You were born with infinite knowledge. Don't confuse infinite knowledge with education. There's a difference. But awareness expands the present moment. When you enter into awareness, or a heightened state of awareness, or a greater awareness, or a bigger awareness, or when you go from here to here, even just a little, from here to here, okay, you don't have to go to here. You can go here. This is significant. And you start to see that when you apply labels to things, when you start to apply the labels, the awareness goes like this. Okay, when you take away the labels, okay, so let's say, for example, you say thank you. Okay, so in your awareness, in your meditation, you say thank you, and your awareness is like this. But when you start assigning the thank you to a label, to a name, okay, to a noun, a person, place, or thing, you'll feel the awareness go like that. Why is that? Because now you're identifying it with something. Okay. So the I am, which is what you are, which is awareness. The I am is awareness. And this is why it's so powerful when you write those affirmations. I am confident. I am generous. I am kind. I am loyal. I am. But when you start defining things or identifying with things, when you start identifying with your degree or your job or your title or your role, okay, like I am the father, I am the husband, I am the boyfriend, I am the carpenter, I am the PhD, I am the, okay? Now you're placing a limitation on that in awareness, okay? Because now what you're saying is, I am that, or I am that. But the I am is greater than all of the labels, because the I am does not have to do with the physical world. There's a separation between body and spirit, okay? This is the body. I can make my fingers do this. I'm doing this deliberately, right? Because I'm thinking it first. And the thoughts are instantaneous. Okay? Instantaneous. There's no lag. Okay? No lag. So your conscious mind is your operating system. The subconscious is your hard drive where the programs are stored and created and installed. The superconscious is the network that we're all plugged into through awareness. All of us. You ever had that feeling somebody's watching you and you turn around and there it is, somebody's watching you? Okay? How did you know? You got that feeling. Okay? Driving down the street, I always use this one, so if you're a follower that follows every morning, forgive me, but yeah, you're driving down the street, you get that feeling to turn right, but you dismiss it because you have free will, you can choose, okay? And every action has a result, so you say no, and then you get stuck in the traffic jam. What do you say? You go, I knew I should have turned. Of course you did. Of course you knew. When you learn to trust that intuition, that intuitive voice a little bit more, things will start to work out in your life. And you'll start to see that things happen for a reason. Okay? If you say you believe in God, if you believe in God, if you walk by faith and not by sight, then that's how you have to go. You cannot walk by faith and then go, okay, I'm going to walk by sight over here, and then faith over here, and then sight over here. You have to be all in over here or all in over here. If you go back and forth, you're living a distorted reality, because your reality will shift back and forth. Because everything is either from God through others, or I did this on my own, or this is just a coincidence, or yeah, this just happened, this is random. So you're either living a random life, or you're living a purposeful life. You either have purpose, or you're just a rudderless boat going like this on the ocean, and if the wave comes, then you go up and down and whatever, okay? But when you affix a rudder onto the boat, now you go, okay, I can go here if I want, I can go there if I want, I can go there if I want, and I can go here if I want, wherever I want. And the conscious mind makes that commitment, makes that decision. And then the subconscious learns that that decision is the topic, and now it provides all of the evidence that you need to reinforce that decision. Now you're proceeding to that goal. The superconscious is what opens the doors. Okay, God, superconscious, God, Jesus Christ, Allah, however you believe. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. But that's what opens the door and brings the right people into play. Okay? And the scenario I always describe, or the analogy I use, right, is like, I want to work at XYZ company, and you start thinking about that, right? Then it becomes a belief. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. Now that you keep thinking it, your subconscious will start to give you details to support it. Yeah, it's good to work at XYZ company. Yeah, I want to work at XYZ company. What does the superconscious do? It works with the subconscious. So you go to the gym one day, maybe a week later, after you've been thinking about all of this. You go to the gym and you meet somebody and you just start talking by the weights or something casual, right? I was like, hey, what do you do? Oh, I work at XYZ company, human resources. I was just thinking about that. I wanted to work at your place. Oh, come, we have openings. Come and apply. And in another week, you're working at XYZ company. It took you 2 weeks to get the job. So, is this a coincidence, or did God bring this to you? You have to make the decision. If you start believing it's a coincidence, then okay, you're like the windshield wiper. You're living a random life. You're like that rudderless boat. You're going like this, random life. Or you define your purpose. Okay? You stick to that belief. In other words, if you believe in God, you stick to that belief. And whatever happens that's good, it's because of God. Whatever happens that's bad, it's because of God. Okay? God will never do bad things to you. But sometimes people look at, well, I didn't get what I want, so they think about it as a bad thing. You know those stories about people missing their plane, right? They missed the flight. Ah, man, God's fault. Then the plane crashes. Ah, blessing. See, okay? But when you live from the superconscious, when you live according to the synergy between the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, everything turns out. Everything turns out. And it doesn't turn out your way. It turns out God's way. But the how is God's job. Your job is to know what you want. Okay? what and why. And those two things go into the subconscious. Okay, I want to make $100,000 a year, or $200,000 a year, or $500,000 a year. Why? Write it down. Why? Because I don't want to depend on the government for assistance. Because Because I want to do philanthropy, and I want to build up some investments so I can benefit poor people, or so whatever it is. Get away from the right and wrong. Stop looking at right and wrong. Get away from judgment. Okay? If you choose something wrong, you'll get those results. No such thing as good intentions and bad results. It doesn't happen. It does not happen. Now, if you have an ulterior motive for something and something bad happens, you'll know why. It will be very clear to you. Awareness will tell you why. Okay? So awareness expands the present moment. When you're aware, you become more present. The more you meditate, the more you sit still. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to have a mantra. You don't have to say Indian words that you don't understand. You don't have to do all of that. Nothing crazy. I don't mean that that's crazy. I mean you don't have to do anything you're not accustomed to, or you don't understand. But your awareness will expand. And when that awareness expands, and you say thank you in meditation, you'll feel the difference between saying thank you and thank you, Father God. And you'll notice when you say thank you, Father God, the awareness goes like this a little bit. Not a lot, just a little. It starts to go like that. Why? Because now in your perception, you have applied a label. Okay? Labels are applied in the physical world. Who's the king of the physical world? Well, at least in Christianity, right? Why do they say that? Because it's the opposing energy. It's the opposing energy. Okay? You're going to also notice subtle details like your breath, your body language, the tone of your voice, the energy of the room. Awareness brings you all of these things. If you're not aware, you're not paying attention. Meditation is paying attention. It's a transaction. You have to pay attention. It costs you. It costs you your life. What? Yeah. Your time is your life. The time that you spend meditating. That's why people say, well, I don't have time to meditate. I'm too busy. Okay, good luck. Good luck. And those are the people that start living random lives, right? Just say thank you, Crystal. Or you can say, I'm not saying you cannot say thank you, God. I say thank you, Father God, all day long in the world, okay, when I'm not meditating. But you'll notice that when you're in stillness or in meditation, and you say thank you, God, okay, so God is a label, and now you've classified this, and now you're applying that label, you're going to notice the awareness kind of go like that a little bit, kind of go like this a little bit. You're going to feel it. You will feel the difference between thank you and thank you, God. And God, by the way, is not even God's name, but we're not going to go that deep today. Okay, I'm just kind of searching to see if we have other comments. I don't mean to ignore you guys. I just want to get out as much information as I can in the time that we have. So, Crystal, you can ask me more questions. Go for it. Go ahead. Yeah, no problem, Crystal. Ask me more. I like your picture, by the way. I like those glasses. Yeah, ask me more questions. Awareness reduces stress and anxiety. The more aware you become, the less stress is able to be piled upon you. Okay, so in the beginning, it's a little work. Okay, try 3 minutes. Sit still for 3 minutes. Okay, if you got one of these. Okay, I got one of these, and you're constantly going like this, right? Okay, the dopamine is going, right? You're getting these dopamine hits. When you put it down, you get the feeling you should be doing something. Why? Because this has conditioned you. It's conditioned you into scrolling. It's conditioned you into checking. It's conditioned you into, right? Curiosity. I wonder what's going on. I wonder, or whatever. Okay, whatever. I'm just saying, it's conditioned you into that action. Stimulus is a thing. If you live in stimulus, it's very tough to shut it down. But you have to have the switch. And this is what we build in our clients. We build the switch in our clients so they can switch it off. Okay, meditate. Like that. It doesn't happen that fast. I don't have that much time, so yeah, but it happens in a couple minutes. You can go into a pretty deep meditation in about 90 seconds. Okay? Because you do need to shake off all the stimulus. If your mind has been looking at your phone all day, or looking at your screen all day on your laptop, or working all day and looking at your screen, or working all day and just being on a construction site or whatever, it's going to take a little time for you to settle down. But if you keep that's why people can't sleep at night. And then what do? They go, okay, here's your medication. Now you can sleep. For years, I had to take medication to sleep. Why? Because I had to be up at a certain time to do radio at 4 o'clock in the morning. So no matter what, and then I had to do events during the evening. So I did events in the evening, and then go home, medicate, out, up at 4 o'clock, continue, for years. But that was part of the job. Like I said, there's a sacrifice for everything you do, everything you get. Did I get benefits from being on the radio? Yes, of course. Tons. Tons and tons and tons and tons of business. Was there a sacrifice? Yeah, of course. This is why you don't envy other people. When when you see people flexing online and stuff like that, okay? And everybody will flex. Like, okay, myself included, I flex once in a while. Okay, I gotta give my haters something to look at, right? Okay, so, but when you see that, right? My mom used to tell me, don't envy others. You never know what they had to do to get it, right? Okay? Because there's always a sacrifice. There's something you give up to get ahead. There's something you give up to receive. There's something you have to pay. Okay? And in meditation, you're paying your time, your life. Your time is your life. You're paying attention. Whenever you pay attention to somebody, you're spending your life. You're investing your time with someone. I give a lot of my life away in my practice because I give a lot of extra time. I don't even charge for my time, I charge for my results. But when you give your time, you're giving your life. It's a transaction. Everything is a transaction in life. Everything is an energetic transaction. This is why in a relationship, when you're not getting anything back, and you're just give, and you don't receive back, it's a limited transaction. Pretty soon it's not worth it. Pretty soon you have to let it go. Why? Because it's not giving you any dividends for your investment. You're investing all your time, you're investing all your energy, you're investing all your resources, not getting anything back. Who does that? Who does that for very long? If you want to learn about that, pay attention to women. They know. Okay? They know. So awareness deepens relationships. Okay? Because when you become more aware, okay? When you become more aware of your own emotions, behaviors, you can listen more fully. You can pay attention properly or better. Okay? You can empathize better. You can have more empathy. You can feel the other person. You can understand what it's like to be in their shoes. Empathy is always putting yourself in the other person's shoes. What is it like to be like that? What would it? How would I feel if I were there, if I were like them? What would I feel like? Okay. Empathy is important. If people took more time to feel other people rather than just judge other people or, you know, for lack of a better term, just blow them off, the world would be a better place. Okay? But the truth of the matter is, the world is not going to hell. The world is not getting worse. The world is getting better. It's just changing. Some people are uncomfortable with the change. If you're uncomfortable with the change, do more meditation, do more stillness, and you will begin to understand the shift. You will begin to understand the change. But you need to be still. If you're not still, if you don't go still for at least 5 to 10 minutes a day, you're cheating yourself out of a lot of life, a lot of the blessings in life, because you're distracted into the physical world, okay? And your eyes look away from the kingdom. They look over there, they look over there, they look up there, okay? The blessings are not over there. Your blessings are not up there. They're not up here. They're in here. You need to tap into them. When you begin to tap into your blessings, you'll understand. When you begin to meditate and be still, you will understand. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. What's the vocalization? Speak the dream. Speak positive words. Speak love. Speak joy. Speak cheerfulness. Look at the good side of things. Compliment others. And you'll start to feel the difference. Because when you use things that speak against people, use words that speak against people, or phrases that demean others, or whatever, okay? Even if you're writing it, even if you're thinking it, you start to feel bad about yourself. Why? Because you know right from wrong. Nobody needs to teach you right from wrong. You already understand it. You were born with knowing right from wrong. Little babies exhibit body language of guilt when they do something wrong. They know. You know. We know. Right? So when we do something, if you say something negative about somebody here, here's what you can do. Here's the fix. Say something positive at the very end. You know, oh, Bob, he said I'm lazy, you know, but he's been my buddy for 30 years. I love him. There you go. Because you're entitled to your assessment. You're entitled to your opinion. Okay? If you think Bob's lazy, if you think Bob's a jerk, whatever, you're entitled to that opinion. But after you say that, leave your subconscious in better condition. Because otherwise, your subconscious will become critical. Your subconscious can learn criticism. It can learn to be critical. It can make you critical. Your subconscious can learn to love. Your subconscious can learn to be cheerful. Your subconscious can learn not to be depressed, to be happy. Happiness is a choice. Good emotions are a choice. Love is a choice. It's not like, well, I'll feel loved when I have a good partner. No. It's not like, oh, I'll be happy when I get the new car. No. You have to be happy first. You have to feel love first. Seek first the kingdom, and all else will be added unto you. And then, instead of being like this, okay, this is defensive, this is hiding, this is, you know, keeping to yourself, this is like, you know, right? Uptight, all of that, then you relax and you begin to open, okay? You begin to open. Awareness goes from here, starts to open, starts to increase, 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 increase. As the stress is alleviated, as the strain, the pressure is alleviated, after the overthinking starts to disappear. Okay? Awareness is a skill that you can train yourself to be or to do. Okay? more awareness. But you need to get rid of all the junk first. How do you get rid of the anxiety? How do you get rid of the fear? How do you get rid of all of that stuff? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. And then awareness starts to expand. When it starts to expand, you can observe everything and make better decisions, guide yourself more appropriately, and bring good things into your life. It's 8 o'clock. Actually, it's 8:02. I went a couple minutes over. But we'd like to thank you guys for being here. We're here every morning, 7 a.m. We're also here tonight at 7 p.m. Okay, I had a request to start evening sessions because people were telling me, oh, I'm working and I want to watch you live, and and I appreciate your stuff and whatever, but yeah, we're on the way to work in the morning, and they don't always get to watch the rerun, the video. So anyway, so tonight at 7 p.m. Hawaii time. So 7 at 7. You're welcome, Darlene. You're welcome. Thank you, lady. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Darlene. Thank you, lady. So tonight at 7 p.m. Hawaii time. Okay, so if you're on the East Coast, it's what, like 2 a.m. Oh boy, yeah, it's kind of late. But if you're on the Pacific side, or let's say if you're on the West Coast, probably easier to catch. So 7 p.m. Hawaii time tonight. Okay.